When Toad drifted back to consciousness, he felt his eyelids gently touched by a subdued light, and he seemed to be wallowing in a caressing atmosphere filled with healing scents of lavender and rosemary. He slowly opened his eyes to find his head supported by the softest of down pillows, encased in the finest of lined pillowcases, and his hands resting upon the crispest and whitest of turned-down sheets, beyond which, ruffled only by his now blissfully cool legs and feet, was a quilted eiderdown, overlaid with a silken bedspread. He was gratified to find himself still attired, just as he had been, complete with goggles, his identity as aviator thus far seemingly intact. He peered out suspiciously before taking the goggles off, so that he might take a better look at where he was, and found himself in a large and spacious bedchamber, about as large as the refectory in Toad Hall itself. Thanks for telling me. Thanks for telling me. Can you let me know if it gets better or worse, though? And sorry, I don't interrupt the chapter, but that's important to know, so thanks for letting me know. Otherwise, I would never know, so thank you. I'd hate to go this is a long chapter, so I'd hate to go this entire chapter and then find out I have to reread it, so yeah, let me know if that's better. He lay like a well-framed picture in the largest, highest, and grandest of mahogany four-poster beds. Toad sighed with contentment and lazily examined his surroundings from his supine position. Across the room, though not quite opposite his bed, was a splendid coal fire, its flames warm and merry. Off to his left was an exterior wall, with two tall windows reaching nearly as high as the lofty ceiling, and nearly as low as the floor, and curtained with the folds and drapes and hangings of the softest, palest of pale pink and mauve materials. Oh, Dan. I just remembered. Oh, it's so good to see you again. Yes, it was a tiny fan. I hate getting stuck mid-chapter and getting really hot, so I bought a little fan, but it's still on, it's just quieter. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna interrupt the chapter anymore, but it's good to see you. Seriously. The curtains were not fully drawn, and from what he could see, the windows offered a view of the very extensive grounds above which he had flown, and down onto which fate had decreed he fall. Shifting his gaze further about the room, Toad saw with pleasure that, as if to match the room's general magnificence, its wardrobes were of the finest and shiniest, and its dressing table of the most elegant, and there on its fluted washstand a Worcester bowl, awaiting his leisured use, and within it, steaming amiably, a huge jug containing hot rose-scented water. Toad sighed once more and wiggled his feet, easing himself first to one side and then the other to feel how extensive and lasting his wounds and injuries might be. Certainly he ached, though not as much as he might have done, yet sufficiently to moan and groan a little to himself. "Nothing broken," he whispered feebly, "I think." Then, raising first one arm and then the other, he pulled the sheets down a little for a moment and added, "And no sign of blood or mortal wound. I shall survive. I shall live." He swallowed and then felt his forehead to test perhaps the advance of the pneumonia he had earlier feared would take hold of him. "I have fought it off. I am still strong. I have been to the extremes of endurance without taking too much harm." Thus reassured, he glanced towards the window once again, and wishing to see something of the world beyond, he leaped nimbly out of bed, went to the door to see that no person was outside it, turned the key in its lock, and strode over to the nearest window. It was now nearly evening, though not yet dark enough outside to prevent him seeing that the view did not so much take in all the grounds, but rather offered him what was surely the most elegant part, the most striking turn and vista of lawn, of balustrade, of choice rose beds, and most ancient and established of trees. Splendid, he said, and just what I would expect of a house honored by a visiting aviator such as myself. However, we must be careful. This place appears riddled with judges, commissioners of police, and malevolent lords, and as I saw in my descent, the castle with its dungeon is not far off. Therefore, I must escape as soon as... He was interrupted in his thoughts by a discreet turning of the door handle, and then an even more discreet knock, followed by the concerned voice of an elderly male saying, "Sir, are you quite all right?" Toad hastily closed the curtains, leaped back into bed. With Aloud... I'm already struggling. We're not even close to the end. I'm just gonna skip that sentence. I am ill, gravely ill, I think. I should not have got up. The door is locked, sir. I cannot come in to give you the food and drink which his lordship has sent up. Shall I leave it outside, perhaps? All this was spoken in an agreeably servile way by one whose only task in life, as it seemed to Toad, was to serve Toad, and it seemed a pity not to oblige him, the more so if food and drink was at hand, the mention of which caused Toad to feel immediately hungry and thirsty. Wait while I struggle to the door, called out Toad, pathetically, which he did very quickly. He opened it a mite, and peering out, saw a butler standing there, tray in hand. I am not well at all, and the light disturbs my eyes, whispered Toad. I pray you let me get back into bed before you come in, and do not bring light into the room when you do, or if you must, for though I can drink little and eat less, it would be a shame not to at least try. Place the light far from my bed. This was a pretty speech, but one which Toad sensed might appear a little too robust. So he sighed and moaned and groaned a little more, provoking the kindly butler to make soft sounds of concern. No, I am well enough, whispered Toad hoarsely as he retreated back to the bed, skipped quickly into it, and pulled the sheet up to his nose before ordering the butler in. He watched the butler potter about and eyed the tray he carried very greedily, for its contents gave off mouth-watering odors. The butler then placed a candle on the far mantel and retreated to the door. From there he said, His lordship and his guests wish you a speedy recovery, sir. They are greatly honored to have you here, and will no doubt wonder if perhaps you need any medical attention. I believe that nurse felt the best remedy was sleep in the first instance. Sleep and time, concurred Toad, are what I need. Please thank his lordship and ask for his patience for a day or so, that I might be allowed to recover in peace. The butler nodded and slipped silently away. Toad waited for no more than an instant before throwing his covers off and leaping up to examine the contents of the tray. There were scrambled eggs and thinly sliced toast with the crust cut off, and tea, and a compote of fruits, and a small decanter of dry white wine of undeniable vintage. It would be perfect if there were more of it, said Toad, scoffing the lot in an instant. But adventurers must take things as they find them. Make do, that's what I say. Toad sank back with a contented sigh onto the soft bed and pondered what to do. His leather flying gear was now getting somewhat hot, so he must see to that. It was dark outside, so there was no use in trying to escape quite yet. Apart from the lack of immediate further sustenance, he seemed well placed. I shall stay a while, he decided, and have a bath and a sleep. I shall leave an instruction for that butler in the hope of ordering up more food. In the morning I shall decide when and how to depart. The instruction was duly given through a crack in the door to some passing chambermaid or other, in an even paler and frailer voice than before, to the effect that though ill and much fatigued, his appetite was somewhat restored, and he would essay a little more food, including perhaps some meat, potatoes, vegetables, sweets, sweetmeats, wine, red and white, followed a little later in the evening by some port and sweet biscuits, enough to last the long night through. At the same time, And to save the servants trouble later, he asked that some hot water be sent in, sufficient to allow him to soak his body right up to his chin. If this, along with a portable bathtub, might be brought as soon as possible, it would aid his recovery wonderfully, he said. No need to tire yourself coming to the door, the maid explained. Oh. Ring the bell by the fireside, and Mr. Pendergast, the butler, will come. That's his job. The bath, and that'll be up straightways. Right after that, and supper will be there in no time. The tub and water duly came, and Toad took a leisurely bath, humming to himself as he did so. Then, duly coiffed, perfumed, dusted, and betowelled, he rang the bell, as he had been advised, and clambered up onto the bed to await the delivery of his second supper. The feast was duly delivered, and spread upon a large mahogany table near the fire, which was refueled, stoked, and pokered for him. All ready, and, as it were, willing. Ho! Cried Toad, once he was alone, and the door locked again, sitting himself down at the carver provided, and beginning to eat whatever took his fancy, and to drink whatever he could reach. This is the life. This is the natural order of things. I do not regret that badger and rat and mole cannot see me now, for if they could, they would feel envious. They are lowly animals, I fear, without ambition, and therefore without hope. But I, Toad, make things happen. This is my life as it was meant to be. Can we just pause? I never do this, but that's already Toad's life. He lives at Toad Hall. He has servants. He's the richest animal in the animal world. They said that in the first book. He's got a big estate. Toad Hall. He lives at Toad Hall. So what is he talking about? I don't know. Okay. He could just leave and go back to his house and live the same exact way. But anyway, it's fine. Hi, my friends are here. Okay, we're gonna get through this chapter. It's really long. Okay, sorry. Alright, back to it. What am I doing? He ate rather more than he should, and certainly drank more than was good for him, so that as the evening wore on, and the fire grew dimmer, Toad began to slip into a slumber that was dangerously like a stupor. Then he crawled back into bed. So Toad's first night in luxury passed by, and it was the beginning of 3 days of utter self-indulgence at the expense of someone else, during which he took the greatest advantage of his situation, putting from his mind the thought that his good fortune could not last forever. Nor did it, for on the fourth morning the butler Pendergast, now his friend, called upon him. Toad hastily put on his headgear and goggles once more and allowed him in. Sir, said he, as I intimidated the day before yesterday, and again more strongly today, his lordship is now anxious that you should descend. Descend? Said Toad, muttering the miserable word most reluctantly, for he knew what it meant, that he must descend the stairs into reality and the certainty of discovery. He vaguely remembered explaining a good many times that he was still ill and must still wear his aeronaut's outfit, and thinking that his excuses and prevarications were wearing thin. Yes, sir, the time has come to go downstairs. His lordship awaits you, as he has these days past, and others too. Others? Whispered Toad, with the gravest of forebodings. Certainly, sir. There is the Royal Commissioner of the Police, His Honor, the Right Eminent Justice of the very highest Court Imperial, and several gentlemen of the press. All wishing to see me? Yes, sir, said the butler. To speak to me? To interview you, sir, I should say. In the absence of your person, they have been striving to interview me, sir, but my lips are sealed. Interview? He was right, then. He was suspected, despite his disguise, and even he could not easily fool a commissioner of the police, and an eminent justice. I am in a desperate situation, said Toad somberly. You are too modest, sir. Ah, thought Toad, it is even worse than I thought. If being desperate is merely modest, in what position must I really be? I'm not a rich man. began Toad in his most Okay, you know when the page cuts a word in half? So half the word is over here and half the word is over here? Like, just put the whole word on the next line, because my brain doesn't do that good. Hold on. I'm not a rich man, began Toad in his most unctuous voice, but if you would help me escape unseen, then I could perhaps slip you a florin. A florin, sir? Said the respectable Pendergast, puzzled. 2 then, though that is generous. 2, sir? You are a hard fellow and a heartless one, cried Toad. A gold guinea is the highest I can go. The butler smiled and shook his head. I think I understand, sir, but regretfully I must decline. Though we all applaud your modesty after so extraordinary an achievement, yet England must be allowed to give credit where credit is due, and you must get your just reward, if I may say so, sir, without being presumptuous. Out of here, you crawling fellow, cried Toad, incensed. If the butler would not help him, indeed was inclined to throw his difficulties into his face with sarcasm, then he, Toad, would find another way. Out, said Toad, and out the butler went, though not without saying as he did so, His lordship will insist on seeing you later today, I fear, to prepare for your reception tomorrow. Toad set to work thinking about his escape, and it was not easy. He had long since discovered that he was quite unable to open the huge window, so that way out was barred to him. The corridors outside were patrolled by tall, lithe footmen and chambermaids with loud voices, and he saw that he would not easily get past them, so that, as the morning wore on, he could only shake his head and reflect that his period of freedom was nearly over, and that if he could manage another splendid lunch and port to follow and coffee and a sleep, then he would at least have another happy memory to go to take to Gowl with him. It was as he was mournfully pondering on this and staring out of the window at the gardens and outhouses below that he saw somebody and something that made him sit up, clap his hand to his brow, and say, That's it! Not only a means of speedy escape, but of disguise as well. But wait, he's leaving, I must act. Without more ado, Toad took up that morning's copy of the Times, screwed it into a ball, and stuffed it up the chimney, which immediately began to smoke and send forth choking fumes. Coughing and spluttering, Toad staggered to the bedroom door and called for help, which soon came. He needed do no more than point mutely at the smoking chimney before there was a shout down the corridors of, Sweep! Stop the sweep! Send him to the most honored guest's bedroom! Cunning and brilliant, said Toad to himself, retreating to the bed and hiding beneath the sheets, coughing and spluttering for show. Moments later, the chimney sweep, the same he had just seen leaving the grounds, and who no doubt had been at work in some other part of the house, appeared broom-laden and sooty. Others appeared with him, but Toad ordered them out. Leave him to help me alone, he croaked. Too many people distress me. The sweep took a slow look at Toad, then at the chimney, and then at Toad again. Bad. Very bad, he said. And dirty, too. An extra 6pence on the job as was your lordship. The silly fellow thinks I am his lordship, said Toad, gleefully to himself. Or one of them. I can see he's not just a sweep, but a foolish sweep. All the better for me, then. Without another glance at the bed where Toad lay malingering and letting out an occasional cough or wheeze for good measure, the chimney sweep quickly set to work. Toad watched covertly as he produced from the... Toad watched covertly as he produced from the Okay. I'm just gonna skip it. Nope. Alright, Toad Toad watched covertly as he produced from the sack he had carried some very pliable canes and a number of pieces of cloth. With "A begging your pardon, sir," he took the water jug from the closet and doused the fire. Then, bending the canes into the awkward corners of the huge fireplace, he used them to fix the cloths in place so that anything falling down the chimney would be caught in their folds.
"Won't be so much as a speck of dust inside or out when I've finished," he said, largely to himself, "for I am renowned throughout the shire for my cleanliness."
Toad marveled that this was so, seeing as the sweep was as grubby and sooty a person as he had ever seen. "Do you mind if I watch?" said Toad, "for I rarely see such a master craftsman as yourself at work."
"Why, sir,"
said the sweep, who was just in the act of screwing on the first length of cane to the head and thrusting it up the chimney through a fold in the cloths,
"I should be honored."
Toad crept nearer. "It must," he said in a sympathetic way, "be a thirsty job."
"It is, sir,"
said the sweep, screwing another length onto the bottom of that already going up the chimney.
"And though I'm not a drinking man by nature, I will say it is my habit to end the day with a small drink."
Toad eyed the bottle of wine left from the night before. "I dare say you can afford only common beer," said he, grasping the vintage wine and jiggling the bottle a little and then clinking it against the glass.
"Beer's enough for the common man," said the sweep.
"And wine for the Lord, eh?" said Toad, laughing loudly. "Here, my good man, have a glass on me."
"Well, sir, seeing as you insist, sir, and trusting you won't tell."
"Tell," said Toad, "not me." It was a sorry and despicable sight, the way that Toad tempted the sweep and led him astray, and all the more despicable for the ease with which it was done. One moment the sweep was a master craftsman, and the next he was a slumped and sorry mess, incapable of completing the job in hand, and with strength only to drink another glass of wine that Toad pressed on him. "My dear fellow," said Toad eventually, "you seem a little tired. Pray put your feet up on this bed so." The sweep was asleep in an instant. From then it was a matter of moments for Toad to exchange his own aeronaut's garments for the filthy shirt and sooty red neckerchief of the sweep. Is that like a handkerchief? That done, he carefully took down the canes and cloths, and using what little soot there was to dirty his own face, neck, and hands, Toad put back into the bag what the sweep had taken out of it. Then, eager now to be gone, he heaved the sack over his shoulder, went to the bedroom door, and opened it. "Finished, sweep?" came a discreet call from down the corridor.
"All done, your honorable lordship,"
said Toad, thinking himself very clever to adopt the sweep's voice and vulgar accent.
"And very blocked up it was. As for him, he says to leave him for a bit."
"Follow me, then, and I'll show you the way out down the servants' stairs," said the footman. Toad eyed the splendid curve of gilded stairs, up which he presumed he must originally have come, and down which he would quite like to leave, and said,
"Begging your pardon, lordship, but I ought to see the flues on the way out."
This seemed to impress the footman, who turned back and led the delighted Toad down the great stairs, past portraits in oil and great wall hangings, ancient swords and cutlasses, along with some impressive stag heads. To his alarm, however, as the stairs curved round and down, he found himself descending towards a huge hall in which a number of important people stood about and stared up whence he came. His heart was suddenly in his mouth, for there, unmistakable, his nostrils beaky, his eyes cold as flint, his brows bushy and imposing, his face long and his forehead huge, was the very chairman of the Court of Magistrates, now a judge, who had once sentenced him to 20 years hard. There, too, was the policeman who had arrested him, now an exalted commissioner, and there Toad pulled himself together, and with a humble and apologetic air, but chortling to himself all the time, he scampered past these unsuspecting persons in the wake of the footman, and then through some dark archway into the back recess of the great house. Here, to his alarm, he found himself face to face with Pendergast the butler.
"Oh, your royal honor," said Toad, "I am obliged to see you for deigning to let me clean the chimney of that great and important gentleman so troubled by the smoke." "Take this extra shilling," said the butler, apparently completely taken in. "Why, thank you kindly, sir," said Toad, doffing his cap.
But here he was interrupted by a commotion from the front of the house and bells ringing in the servants' quarters as a footman came hurrying and a great to-do began. He's up and coming down, cried the footman. He's out and on his way. Who is? Asked Toad, puzzled and quite forgetting to drop his H. Why, the great aeronaut, of course, said a scullery maid, rushing by, adding over her shoulder, quite taken up by the excitement of it all. He's the bravest and most honourable man what ever was, isn't he? Risked his life to save the town from being crashed upon. I'm going to take a peek at him if I can. Toad saw that he was immediately forgotten in the rush, and with dark suspicions beginning to form in his bosom, suspicions which carried most dreadful implications that he might have quite misunderstood the situation and have failed utterly therefore to capitalize on it, he decided to follow in the wake of the maid. So it was that he found himself among a cluster of whispering and excitable servants at the door to the back of the house, through which he had hurried moments before, in time to see a sight that was most horrid and most painful to him. For at the grand curve of the stairs, with the butler supporting one arm and a tall footman the other, tottered and staggered the drunken sweep, dressed in the headgear, the goggles, and the jacket that, but a short time before, had been Toad's own. Don't he look handsome, said the scullery maid. But, began Toad. Oh, said the second undercook, I think I'm going to faint at just seeing him, and to think I have the honour of knowing he's eaten the taters I helped peel. But, protested Toad, if he looks my way, I'll faint, I'm sure I shall, declared a fifth deputy housemaid, clutching Toad's arm in readiness. But I was cried out Toad in his agony, for it was all too much to bear. To think that the honour and the glory that should have been his were being stolen by this wretched impostor of a sweep who was staggering and swaggering down the stairs to where the highest in the land were awaiting and clapping and cheering. It is I you should be, he cried again, his voice barely heard above the hubbub of adulation for the triumphant figure that now reached the bottom of the stairs. Toad was about to thrust himself forward to claim the honour as his, when, perhaps by chance, perhaps because his strangled cries had been heard, his honour the judge looked his way, those cold eyes and that beaky nose quite withered Toad's soul. Then the commissioner cast him a glance, as it seemed to the self-obsessed Toad and those gaolers' eyes. The vindictive brows caused Toad to retreat back into the scrum of servants from which he had tried to emerge. Yet still he might have tried to reclaim his proper place had not my lord the bishop glanced his way. What judgment was in that gaze, what formidable reminder of a greater day than this! It caused Toad to shrink back a third time and withdraw. So that, as servants pressed forward about him and the false airman was quite swallowed up by the crowd of admirers, his hands shaken and his back slapped and his drunken babblings mistaken by the crowds as the excitement and confusion of a modest and reluctant hero recovering from his injuries, Toad slipped back through the garden, thence through the scullery, and then across the cobbles by the stables, where, with a sigh of profound regret, he arranged the sweep's bag and brooms upon the crossbar of the sweep's bicycle, mounted it with difficulty, and wobbled his way unseen and unnoticed down the long, lonely carriageway of the house and out towards the wintry world beyond. Longest sentence ever. Okay. The miraculous return of the mole, alive and well, had proved but a 2-day wonder, and soon the river once more exerted her calming influence on the rat, and the mole and all their friends and acquaintances. Of course I knew he would be all right, was the general opinion of nearly everyone. I never doubted for one moment that Mr. Mole would turn up safe and sound. But for those 48 hours, at least there was a great deal of celebratory coming and going around Mole End, despite the snow and the inclement, unsettled weather. So what should have been a wake was happily turned into a celebration, till in the end the food and drink ran out, as did the animals' capacity to continue eating and drinking and being of cheer, and one by one they left Mole End to go back to their own homes, leaving only the badger, the rat, the mole's nephew, and the mole himself.
Well then, said the badger, you can see how glad we are to have you returned home, Mole, and none gladder than us three. But now the time has come to rest a little and reflect perhaps on what might have been and what is. I would be much obliged if your nephew would accompany me back to the wildwood, Mole, for there's a promise I must keep before long, which is to entertain to high tea a number of weasels and stoats. Your nephew can help me prepare for that, and his sharp young eyes can help me watch out for any difficulty or trouble that might arise from the fulfillment of my rash offer. Rat, too, may well wish to return to his home, added the badger, hinting in his thoughtful way that Mole might like to be left alone for a little, for few understood so well as he the need for a time of solitude and reflection, especially after such excitement, and even more especially in the dark winter time. If my nephew is willing to go, said the mole with some relief, then who am I to stop him? I hope he will help you in the days ahead, Badger, but Ratty might like to stay a while longer today at least, to help me get sorted out once more, and, well, the mole looked a little mournfully about his now nearly empty rooms, and beyond the darkening winter evening sky, leafless branches fretted and tapped at his window, and spring still felt a long way off. Of course, declared the badger, quite understanding that the mole might want to talk a little with his friend before he turned in for some well-earned sleep. When the badger and mole's nephew had gone, the mole said little, and the understanding water rat stayed silent as well. Together they cleared up what untidiness remained, though the rat had long since organized the rabbits to tidy and clean and put away before they left, so there was not too much to do. Then the rat cleared out the grate in no time at all, laid a new fire, and set it merrily ablaze, just as the sky darkened into twilight outside Mole End. Mole felt somber and tired, and sensing this, Rat bade him sit down once more in his favorite armchair, and declared that at such a moment and in such a case there was nothing better than a bowl of light soup and new-made bread. But Ratty, said the mole, who felt not only tired, but just a little inclined to tears, for no good reason that he could think of, I haven't any soup, or— It's all done, all ready, said the rat, taking his friend's arm and leading him to his chair. I gave orders for it to be made this morning. Now, Molly, be a good and obedient fellow and sit down and let me serve you what you deserve. I mean, said the mole, sniffing and wiping away the untoward tears that began to course down his cheeks. The rat saw them, of course, and he heard the mole's sniffles, but chose to say nothing and let things be, so the two animals sat on either side of the fire, eating their soup, having second helpings, and cleaning the bowls out with crusts of buttered bread, neither saying a thing for a very long time. Finally, when the mole had taken a little nap, and the rat was already on his second pipe of the evening, and both their noses were red with the firelight, they talked at last. My dear chap, said Rat sympathetically, for Mole still sniffled to himself from time to time, if you have the inclination, would you like to tell me what really happened down there in the river? I would, said the mole fervently, saying nothing more. I confess, said the rat at length, that I was gravely worried for you. The river is a dangerous thing, and few animals, not even myself, would survive if they fell through the ice as you did. No, said the mole, I don't suppose they would. Yet you did, Mole, and here you are back home again, and no one more glad, more happy, more pleased than myself. Yes, said the mole, staring at the fire. So, began the rat again, puffing at his pipe, I don't know how I survived, Ratty, really I don't.
I remember so little about it, you see, except how my concern to get across to your house got the better of my prudence, and how I felt foolish to have tried so dangerous a thing, even as the ice threatened to break. Then it did break, and I could do nothing to save myself. Nothing at all except grasp a floe and hang on. Then I felt that in that dreadful dark icy water, and I couldn't think or breathe. I really couldn't. I mean, I believed, I was sure I was going. Poor Mole was quite overcome by the memory of those terrible moments, and the water rat sensed that the best thing was still to do no more than make murmured noises of support. Then, when the mole's sobs and tears threatened to quite overwhelm him, the rat put down his pipe, got up, and put a comforting arm round his friend's shaking shoulders, and still said nothing. But,
You take your time, Mole, for there's plenty of it now. Don't try and hurry yourself, because I'm not going away till you send me away.
No, don't go, cried the mole, who in his distress did not quite understand, and then, I'd rather you stayed, much rather. The mole was silent a good while longer, but then seemed a little more settled, and the rat felt it safe to go back to his own armchair and take up his pipe. When all's said and done, said the mole at last, I don't know how I did survive. It's all rather vague, really, rather strange.
But you remember something, even if it is vague and strange, murmured the rat.
I remember. The water rat was surprised to see the mole suddenly sit forward in his chair, as if he had seen something in the fire, which perhaps he had, for he stared at the flickering of the flames and into the deepest reds and mauves of the embers, his eyes open, his face alert, and he continued quietly thus. I remember that I was sinking into a darkness deeper and darker than any I'd ever known or imagined before, more than just towards the river's depths. Of that I'm sure. It was cold, fearfully cold, and there was a peace in the oblivion towards which I was going, and an endless sleep. And I wanted to go there, Ratty, I really did. I felt I could go on no longer, not fighting the cold and the swirling current and the ice.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, I remember that. Then, now the mole leaned forward even more, and the rat put down his pipe and leaned toward him to stare into the fire, as if there together they might somehow summon forth once more the memory that was eluding Mole. Ratty, continued the mole, casting a glance at his friend as if to be sure he was still there and attentive, we have said from time to time that we know there is beyond, have we not? But have never been there and cannot imagine it?
Yes, said the rat softly, very surprised and a little awed.
Well, as I slipped towards what I thought was eternal sleep, I had the strangest feeling, almost a vision really, that there was a before, just as we have said there may be a beyond. And no sooner had I remembered some memory of before, and something that had happened, then I felt, or thought I felt, him there. The rat remained very still and quiet when the mole spoke these words, as did the mole himself, so that the only sound in his parlor was the soft crackling and shifting of the fire. I felt I was taken up in his arms, out of the dark flow of the river, up into the night, and then placed down somewhere warm and dry, where I could go to sleep, knowing that when I was ready I would wake once more in a place where the river meanders, up onto a blue distance, and where there are mountains shining with the sun. And oh, Ratty, do you understand? The rat nodded slowly, his eyes never straying from the fire. As I was thinking that, knowing that, I said, stay with me, and he said, oh, I wish I could be sure of this, or remember it better, but it flows and ebbs in my mind, it shifts and swirls like the dark currents of the river itself, coming from who knows where and going to somewhere else, yet I am sure that he replied, they're still there, your friends, and they will be waiting for you, Mole. Your time is not yet, nor theirs. Mole was quiet again and slowly sat back, tears on his face. Ratty, I don't know quite what he meant by that, but when those words were spoken, I thought of Badger, and of Toad, and of my nephew, and of you, Ratty, of you, and all the animals of the riverbank and the wildwood. I thought of all the places and the things and the people that I know and love, and I let myself slip into a different kind of sleep then, for I knew they would be there, waiting for me when I came back, just as I knew that the place I thought I saw,
beyond, murmured Rat.
Yes, beyond, just as I knew then as I know now, that it will be there for us, waiting for when we're finally ready to go to it. The mole said little more, for it seemed he was exhausted by striving to regain these memories. He slept a while, and the water rat watched over him, building up the fire when it began to die, and placing a warm plaid about his friend, for the wind was getting up outside, and there was a draught from beneath the door. The mole had not wanted him to leave, nor would he, for he knew he was needed for a time, and might yet be needed more. For his friend's sleep was restless, and sometimes he muttered to himself, and seemed to push out his arms and legs, as if to ward off the waters of the river, and to struggle away once more from that endless darkness that had so nearly taken him. "No," he cried out more than once, and "I cannot!" And then finally, before he slipped into a more peaceful sleep, saying "yes" and "oh yes," all of which made the rat feel surprised, even disturbed, when rather later it was he who found himself coming out of sleep, and the mole who was tending to him in a most concerned way. "Are you all right, Ratty? You were quite distressed, and your cries woke me up."
"My cries? I must have dozed," said the rat a little grumpily.
"A long enough doze to call it a sleep," said the mole, who sounded very much more like his normal self. "Look, I have made some peppermint tea and toasted a little of the bread that was left." The two animals tucked in, and when they had gone so to their satisfaction, the mole said, "We've talked quite enough of what happened to me, and now it's your turn. What's been happening since I had my mishap? Nothing unusual, I hope."
"Ah," said the rat cautiously, "not unusual if you have been expecting, as I have for a very long time, that Toad would show some of his old form again."
"Toad!" exclaimed the ever-tolerant and trusting mole. "But he is not altered and reformed. He has been for so long that I would be very surprised if he had slipped back."
"Then be surprised, mole. Allow surprise to overtake you. Toad has done something even more dreadful than anything he has done before. Something I hardly dare to mention on so happy an occasion as your safe return."
"But what?" cried the mole. "Surely whatever it is, it cannot be so bad that it cannot soon be forgiven and forgotten."
"Forgiveness! Forgetting! You would be wise not to mention such things to Badger when next you see him. No, Toad has gone far beyond the limits of our endurance, so far indeed that I think I may safely say that we shall never see Toad in these parts again, if he is still alive, which I very much doubt. We may hazard that he lost to the river forever. That he is lost to the river forever." These were final words indeed, and despite the rat's reluctance to say anything at that moment, the mole would not let the matter rest till he heard it all, and more. For despite everything, Toad was surely as much a part of riverbank life as they themselves were. "Anyway," added the mole finally, "he may be exasperating, and the things he does vexatious, but he is in the end always fun." "Fun?" repeated the water rat with some heat. "Fun! Do you call being dragged up into the air fun? Do you call being hurled across the skies fun? Do you dare suggest that being thrown at an ever-increasing velocity back towards the ground is fun?" The rat glared at the surprised mole and clenched his pipe between his teeth so hard that it cracked. "Fun!" he exclaimed finally, falling into a brooding silence.
"I think perhaps you had better begin at the beginning," said the mole in a quiet and conciliatory way, so as not to provoke the rat into another outburst. The rat duly began his tale with the discovery that Mole was missing, continuing with the first searches for him, and thence to the monstrous appearance of the airborne Toad, and all that it was led to. And all that it was to lead to. "And all for me!" exclaimed the mole more than once during this recital. "All for me!" Of Toad's trickery regarding the badger and the pilot mechanic and the rat's subsequent abduction, the truth had to be told, and the rat did not stint in telling it. But the more dramatic his account became, the more terrifying his developing ordeal, the more difficult it was for the impressionable mole not to feel a little of the excitement and adventure that his friend Toad must have experienced. "I trust, Mole, you are not enjoying this at my expense," growled the rat, interrupting himself. No, of course not," declared the mole, though without much conviction. "What you say Toad did was wrong, I'm sure, quite wrong, but—"
But what?" said the rat warningly.
"Well," faltered the mole, "I mean that, you see, I have never seen a flying machine, and though I imagine they are quite dangerous things, Nevertheless, they do seem quite exciting, and it's no good me pretending otherwise."
"Humph," said the rat, frowning. "Be that as it may, having stolen the flying machine, for we may be sure he had not paid for it despite his claims, Toad then abducted me, and up into the air we went. Needless to say, he forgot all about looking for you. So excited and absorbed did he become in flying the thing."
"So he didn't actually crash it then," said the mole. "I mean, he did succeed in flying it?"
"Mole, you are trying my patience too far. Of course he flew it. If he crashed it, I wouldn't be here, would I? Or if he did crash it, and some of us might think that is the very least he deserved, he did not do so till the machine and I had parted company at altitude."
Mole's eyes widened in astonishment, and his mouth silently opened and closed, words utterly failing him. "Yes," continued the rat rather more slowly, glad to see that his report was finally having a properly sobering effect on the mole. "I fell out of the machine, high above the ground, very high." "But Ratty!" exclaimed the bewildered mole. "Are you all right? You look all right. Have you broken bones, perhaps, or bruises I cannot see?"
"Broken bones, bruises, my dear mole. If I had fallen to the ground from that height without being slowed down, I would have had a lot of broken bones and a great many bruises. Too many, in fact."
"Yes?" said the mole weakly. "I suppose you would have."
"I had a parachute."
"Ah," said the mole with relief, not quite sure what a parachute was. "That was just as well, then. You think of everything, Ratty." Patiently, the water rat explained the workings of a parachute and how he came to have one, and how he now rather regretted securing Toad's parachute, for it might mean that he too survived that dreadful flight. The rat described how he had come out of the machine, dropped like a stone for what seemed a very long time, and then had his descent suddenly arrested when the parachute opened.
And then, Mole saw immediately that a change had come over his friend.
Till that moment his account had been straightforward enough, if occasionally rather inclined to irritation and annoyance, but now it became something else. There was a curious distance in his voice and a far-off gaze in his eyes, which settled, as the mole's had earlier, into the ever-moving and mysterious depths of the fire. "Why, what is it, Ratty?" exclaimed the mole. "What happened to you up there?"
"It was not what happened to me," said the rat quietly. "It was what I saw on the way down."
"A very long way, I should think," said the mole, matter-of-factly, not yet quite understanding the extent of the rat's wonderment.
"Mole," said the rat, turning his gaze slowly to the eyes of his friend,
who saw a look of awe and a touch of loss on his face.
"I saw more than a long way. I saw beyond."
"Beyond?" whispered the mole. The water rat slowly nodded his head, his eyes very serious, and then turned his gaze back to the fire.
"I tell you, Mole, I saw beyond."
"But what was it like?" asked the mole.
"It was not unlike a description you gave earlier. There was the river, stretching on, curving one way and then another, first between the fields beyond Toad Hall, and then beyond the wild wood, and then even further on and on till the landscape was strange, greens and blues, reds and pinks, and there were hills that were more than hills, Mole."
"More than hills?" echoed the mole.
"And mountains that were far more than mountains, where the river seemed to reach up to the sky, to the place which was beyond."
"Up into the sky?" said the mole breathlessly.
"And I knew, Mole, I knew that it was there waiting, as it always was and always will be, waiting for
us all," said the mole very quietly and dreamily.
"I'm not sure, but I think so," said the rat in a very subdued way. "But from the moment I saw it, I knew, or I felt, all sorts of things, strange, vague things that seemed unconnected and yet are not at all. One thing I knew was that you would be all right. I knew it. And I was very surprised when Badger, who has always been so wise, did not know it, or want to believe it. Then for another,
"What is it, Ratty?" asked the mole, for his friend seemed almost as moved now as he himself had been much earlier.
"For another," said the rat, "I knew I would one day go there. Since then I have thought of almost nothing else. Indeed, were it not for you being lost, and the winter upon us and traveling foolish and dangerous, I would have long since left to go upriver to find beyond."
"Well then," said the mole firmly, "I'm glad I was lost, and I'm very glad it is winter."
"But I've got this hankering, this restlessness."
Reddy, you've always been like that. You know you have. Don't you remember once how after you met a relative of yours, the sea rat, it was all I could do to get you to stay here with us? I had to be quite firm about it, and that's not something I'm good at.
I remember very well indeed, said the water rat.
But this was different, you see, Mole. You and I have talked of beyond from time to time. Badger has often warned against even thinking about it. That's why I couldn't tell him what I had seen, but I knew you'd understand. Beyond, repeated the mole slowly, finding as he did, so that all kinds of curious half-memories came into his mind of summer days when he and the rat had talked and mused, of that time long ago when they had gone in search of Portly, and somehow they had found him on the island, but quite where or how, and his own recent experience with the river and the memory of he that saved him. Was that beyond as well? Yes, said the mole at last. I think I understand. Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, Rat. Perhaps you did see something, and perhaps it will ache in your heart for a time, and perhaps it's as well that such sights and memories fade with time, and become less irksome. Why, the spring will be with us soon, and the sooner the better with the severe weather we're having. When it comes, we'll forget all those dreams again in the excitement of going out and about once more.
I'll never forget, declared the rat, and nor will you.
Perhaps not, agreed the mole finally. Now tell me what happened after that. But the rat had lost interest in the rest of his tale, and finished it in no time at all, ending with how the badger had found him, and how the badger had behaved most peculiarly, and had seemed in a great hurry to bury Mole into memory and be done with it all.
Then you appeared from the river, and you know the rest.
Not all of the rest, said the mole, for there's Toad to worry about.
You mean there's Toad not to worry about anymore?
Mole laughed. Old Toad will come back just as I did, said the mole. I was saying to my nephew only the other day that life wouldn't be the same without Toad. I'm sure Badger will forgive him, as he always does, as you yourself have surely begun to do already.
If he does return, then I pity him, for Badger will be ready and waiting, and so will I. And so should you be. Badger may forgive him as you say, but not too easily, I hope.
He'll still come back, and we'll be glad when he does, said the mole finally.
Humph,
said the water rat, and that was the last thing either of them said before sleep finally overtook both right where they were, and the candles guttered about them, and the fire died, and they fell into the deepest, kindest, most blissful of slumberings, which lasted all the longer that they had both been through so much and needed time to rest and recuperate, just as wise Badger had guessed they would. The end. Thanks for listening. That was like the longest, maybe, that we've ever had, because, oh my gosh. Wait, I'm checking again. Hold on. That's a long chapter, yo. Hold on. Okay. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 35 pages is insane, actually. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Also, I just want to, I'm not going to stay on long. I'll check your comments, but, I had to show you guys something. Very busy. Yeah, me too. Oh, that's nice. Nice to meet you. That's a great username. I don't know what to call you. The Toad voice. The Toad voice is actually my least favorite one to do. It's not that different from my voice. That's funny. Cool. Yeah, it was a pretty busy day too for me. But I hope everybody's really good at least. And I've got nothing going on after work tomorrow, so that'll be cool. I'm really tired. I'm good. I'm just like I feel fine, but no energy. I'm about to cook dinner and not speak to anyone. Even though I want to, like, I love people, but I just, like, every word that I got tongue-tied on, not tongue-tied, every word that I like, that messed me up, I know the words, okay? One of them was voluminous. I couldn't say it, and I don't know why. There's just like, it's my brain. There's like, sometimes it just doesn't really work. And I can read it, but I can't say it out loud. And I'm like, I know this word, why can't I say it right now? Anyway, I was gonna say, this sweater, ow, sorry. Okay, sorry. This sweater, I really, 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 really love this sweater, right? And it's like, pretty cute. I've got the sleeves rolled up, but it's like the best material. It breathes, but it's warm type thing, and the best shade of yellow, right? And then this button popped off, and I was like, oh, I don't even know when that happened. It didn't come with spare buttons like some sweaters do, so I was like hunting down the same exact button. But then today I wanted to wear it, and it just looked so bad without the top button, and I was like, wait, I have a pin. I collect pins now, like brooches. This is a really tiny one, and I'm wearing gold anyway, so I was like, ah, it's so cute. Anyway, it's a really comfy sweater. Yes, I can relate when I'm tired. I just wouldn't. Oh, I just don't want to speak. Yeah, like I love people. I don't think I'm ever like not in the mood to be around people, but like, I mean, depending on the people. Definitely depending on the people. But like, basically I'm always down to see people. It just depends on what we're doing. Like if I were to just hang out right now with my sister and watch a movie, that'd be chill as heck. Or like, if there was a way for us to do a movie night, we do movie nights on Discord, by the way. If there's a way for us to just switch over to Discord and do a movie night, but I could be in my bed watching the movie, I'd do that right now. But like, I don't want to sit at this desk anymore tonight, so we're not gonna do that tonight. That's the one downside. Usually I find something to do during the movie, which I do anyway, sorry. I am constantly multitasking, like, I can't sit down and watch something by myself and actually pay attention. I'm, like, always doing something. So, I always find something to do at my desk when we do movie nights. I don't know where I was going with that, but right now I have no energy. So I'm gonna use that sliver left to cook dinner. I can make dinner so fast. Wait, I painted my nails. My nails are pink now. I might actually keep them pink for a while. This is fun. I kept looking at them today. I never paint my nails, so yeah. Sorry, it makes me happy. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, the stuff that I cook for dinner, I just make like some kind of meat with rice, and I make it's like the fastest. Hello? Can you hear that? That's my dog. He scratches on my door. I think he's alone. I think my roommate left, so he's like, hang out with me, I'm bored. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I make some kind of meat with rice, and I do like fried rice. So I make good rice. And it doesn't take that long to make. I mean, like not long, like literally 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go do that, and then there you go. Now you have my whole life plan that you didn't ask for. Sorry, I don't even know. Nice. What meat? If I could choose, it would probably always be. It'd be chicken if I knew how to make really good chicken, but I don't. I'm still perfecting that. I make like I make good tasting chicken, but it's dry, and I can't figure out the dry part. So I'm just so scared of undercooking when it comes to chicken. Oh, tuna? Okay, that's another one that I really want to get into. Like, I need to learn just fish in general. I want to get into that being like my primary source of protein when I cook dinner. Like, I basically want to like wean myself off of pork and steak. Pork won't be that hard, except that junk is cheap. Okay, sorry, I have so many thought processes going on right now. So, besides, fish is your favorite too? Okay, can we like exchange? Can you guys just give me your recipes? Because, I'm trying to get off of pork. That won't be that hard. And steak, because I don't know, they're not even that great for me anyway, like my body, but like those are the animals I feel the worst about eating. It's sad. So I'd love to be like strictly fish, and there's luckily like a lot of different types of fish to choose from, so there's still variety, but like I don't know. I've only attempted oh, do you do like slow cooked rice then that way? That honestly doesn't sound that bad though. What did you say, chipotle sauce? I want to try it. Do you know, I have had, never mind. Tuna's good. Canned tuna. Dude, let me try that. I've never had canned tuna. I've had like tuna salad, which was probably canned tuna. Okay, I might try that actually next time I go grocery shopping. Boiled chicken. What? I love canned fish. Sardines. That's wild. Lemon fish. Okay, that's cool. I used to make slow cooked, like steamed rice, and then I got into fried rice, but both are great if you know how to make it. And yeah, pork, I mean, pigs are cleaner than you think, but like pork, that type of meat, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you're like more likely to get a parasite from eating pork than any other meat or something like that. So like the bacteria with pork, what is it, like it's more likely to grow bacteria than other meat? I don't know, but I tried to cook salmon though. I had like a minute, like a couple weeks where I learned one way to cook salmon, and I did that like 7 times until it got really old. And I don't like it. And I realized since then I'm big on texture, like I'm pretty picky when it comes to textures, so I don't like salmon. But I had a different type of pork the other month, and it was like the best thing I've ever eaten. So if I could find the fish that I like, it's like the best source of protein. So, and I don't feel bad about eating fish. I just don't. So they're beautiful creatures, but like I feel a lot worse about eating a cow than fish. So yeah, salmon's one of my fave. Really? Gotta pick good brands. Trout is your favorite? Oh, canned trout is your favorite. Oh, no, wait, sorry, hold on. Okay. Rocky Mountain High. Oysters can shove off. Sorry. I actually tried an oyster because I don't want to say I didn't try something when I could have, right? Except drugs. But like, food-wise, if I'm offered something I've never had, I'm gonna try it. So I tried an oyster. No, that's not a texture for me that I like. Okay, cool. Clam chowder. Yeah, good clam chowder is really good. My eyes are kind of hard to figure out. Hold on. Oysters. Ew. No. I like crab. Crab is really good. But no, my eyes are like, they look more green right now, but earlier I was wearing, like a colorful flower dress, and the blue in the dress, I guess, was bringing the blue out in my eyes, so my eyes look really blue earlier. But they're like blue and green, and they've got some like yellow, like gold in there, and then there's definitely some gray, like a little bit of gray going on, so I can't really tell you, honestly. I don't know. You tell me, I guess. Sardines and olive. Yeah, crab. Yeah, I will say, like, I've had crab at a restaurant, and then I've had crab made by someone at my boyfriend's house, like like an ex-boyfriend's dad one night decided he wanted crab legs, so whatever you do to cook them, he made them so good, and that's now like my golden standard for crab legs, and I don't think spending the money at any restaurant is gonna like come close. So I feel you, like I don't want to spend the money unless I learn how to make it myself, but I'm gonna butcher it, so I promise. I mean, I've pretty much accepted that I'm never gonna have crab legs again. It's like one of my favorite foods, but like just that one time I had it, it was my favorite. Like it was any other time it was just kind of like they're good, but like that time, anyway, like dark green and yellowish. Yeah, there's like a you can see the like ring of gold going on in the middle. I don't know. I stopped trying to figure my eyes out years ago because they change, I swear. But okay, cool. So I have like lobster's a close second. I don't like lobster. Lobster's like rubber, and I've had it multiple times, so I know I don't like it. It's weird. It almost like every time I've had it, it feels like it's something that just shouldn't be eaten. Like octopus. Why? You don't need to eat that. Out of all the things there are to eat, why are we also eating octopus? It's like rubber. I don't like it. But crab legs are good because you actually crack it open and there's like meat in there. And like, I don't know where the meat is with lobsters and octopus, but there is none. Like, it's like rubber. But I'm a texture person. I don't know. Like, I notice all the different textures and I'm like, I don't like that. It's too chewy. So good, but very little meat. Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, that's annoying. There's like barely any meat in there. Plus, like, I just feel bad. Especially about octopus. They're so dang intelligent and beautiful. Why are we catching them and eating them? Just leave them alone. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, trying to make sure did I get through all my thought processes? So, okay. okay, so what I'm hearing is next time I go grocery shopping, I should buy canned tuna and canned trout. I want to try trout now. If it's your favorite. Lean into... Gross. Okay, cool. And you said chipotle sauce? I'm trying to decide... When you said that, I was trying to think of what my favorite sauce even is. I don't know. So... yeah, I don't know. So I guess I'll just, I'm gonna go shopping. And if I really, really like it, that would be kind of freaking awesome, actually, because I don't know. Whenever meat is cheaper, like, whenever Publix is having, like, a special, I take advantage. So I have a lot of, like, frozen pork chops and frozen, like, stuff. Like, what do I have? I have a lot of pork chops, because pork is always on sale, and then, oh, buffalo sauce. And then, chicken, oh, I get chicken thigh fillets, so I have a lot of those, and I have a couple, like, ribeye steaks. So once all of that is gone, I'm really hoping I, like, learn how to, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, guys, but I'm sorry, but like, I'll try the canned options. I don't really want to eat just canned fish, though, forever, but I'll try the canned options, and if I think I like the taste, at least, I just want to learn how to cook them, you know? Like, there's got to be more than one way to cook a fish, and there's more than one type of fish. So I just gotta find the ones I like and the way that I like them to be cooked. That's hard, but it'll be worth it if I can get off of the bad stuff, you know? Trout is the more spendy of canned fish, sardines, and all. Blech. Forget the brand, but... oh, okay. I don't like hot sauce. But I'll try like a drop. I'll try a couple drops. I'm sorry, I'm really picky. Bye, rubber duckin' truckin'. That's like really hard to say. Rubber duckin' truckin'. Nice to meet you. Have a good night. I'm about to get off too, but a lot of fish have... I don't like that. I don't like that. But that's fine, I'll try it. Maybe if it's like really tasty. I wish I just liked everything. And I wish everything was just healthy. That'd be nice, but it's fine. Alright, I'm getting off. I'm gonna go make dinner, and I'm putting together like a collab? No. I'm putting together a compilation. Slowly but surely, I'm compiling highlights from past read-alouds into a video, because we just hit read-aloud number 50! So I thought I could make a video, like, I don't know, with highlights and stuff, and I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty cool. Oh, swordfish. Oh, I'd be down to try that. Yeah, that too. Fish always makes me feel better when I eat it. Even if it was hard to eat, like salmon always leaves me just feeling better. Can I just go to Walmart and get a swordfish though? Ooh, I love Stardew. That's one of my favorite cozy games. I've got that on Switch right now. Anyway, okay, so what? Oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. It's fine. But I thought it was a cute idea as like a thanks for listening. I don't know. But that'll come out soon. Yo, I'm so down to play Stardew. Is that something we could do? Anyway, I was just gonna say, and I think I was gonna post in the Discord about this, but if y'all want to pray for me or just think about me, the next couple weeks I have an eye doctor appointment Thursday. I'm hoping if we address this stupid eye, it might help minimize my dizzy spells. So pray for that. Next Thursday, I'm establishing primary care with a doctor, and I'm gonna address all my other things that I live with. And I'm trying not to get too excited, but I'm hopeful that she's gonna listen to my problems and actually care and take them seriously and give me some kind of options to choose from. I don't know, like any ideas, like a lead, anywhere to start, any ideas. I feel like she's actually gonna like help me find things that might help me, but I don't know. So it's very nerve-wracking. I gave up on doctors 5 years ago, and so trying again. And I'm not, the only reason I am excited is because word of mouth, I heard she's amazing. So that specific doctor. So I'm, outside of that, I normally wouldn't have made the appointment. Like I wouldn't be excited or getting my hopes up. So yeah, so I'm trying not to, because I'm used to doctors not doing anything to help. So, but I'm trying not to get excited because I feel like she's actually gonna try to help me. So, so it's nerve-wracking because I don't know how I'm about to feel leaving the doctor next week. So, yeah. Thank you. Your script, nice. Yeah, no, yeah, and like, not anything to worry about. Like, this is all just my chronic bullshit that I live with every day for the last 10 years, but, I'm just tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm actually just like, I don't think I can go, I don't know, I'm just gonna say, I don't know how much longer I can go living like this without any kind of end in sight. So yeah, anyway, so I was just kind of struggling, and then I heard about that doctor, and they said she cares. So I was like, that second I called them and they made an appointment for me. So yep. And then, oh, and sorry, I keep talking, sorry. Last thing was, sometime either this week or next week, hopefully, I'm also gonna do a sleep study. And that will also, so all 3 appointments are kind of gonna help address all of my problems that have piled up over the years that I've been living with. So hopefully, out of all 3 appointments, I hope we can knock one major symptom out. That would be really cool. Great, you know, that'd be success for me. So like, if we can knock out the dizzy spells or the stomach problems or the sleep problems, the narcolepsy problems, then I'll be happy with any of those. So yeah, okay, yeah. That's all I was trying to say. Okay, my doctor helps. Aww. Oh, yeah, and it's high time I established a primary care physician. I've never had one. I went like years without insurance, and now I'm finally like getting that done too. But fingers crossed. Thank you. Oh, and I am open to suggestions. I'm not open to living on pills and being dependent on Band-Aid solutions. So, but I am open to suggestions. Yes. Sleep study. Stream. No. But we're in. I'll probably never have a doctor. Yeah, I mean, I never thought I would either. It got kind of annoying though when you'd have like a minor problem and people would be like, just ask your doctor. You know, because you'd be like, I'm having chest pain. Should I go to the ER? And like every little problem was like, go to the ER. When normal people just ask their doctor. But I didn't have a doctor. So I guess there is a good reason to have a doctor of your own. But like, I totally get not really having the motivation to have a doctor either. Or like, go see a doctor. So like, totally get that. Or like, if you don't have health care. That's common, unfortunately. Total valid reason not to spend money on a doctor, but like, yeah. You'll just die. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. We'll just have to see. And yeah, I mean, obviously, if I have a problem that, like, it's a big deal, it's affecting my life and the way that I am as a person, and the only solution is a type of pill, I would just have to research what the pill is and shit before I get on it and grow dependent on it and stuff. But I'm open to pills if I have to. But there is no shame. You're right. But I don't know. The more natural, the better for me, I think. I don't think I'm gonna be sleeping during the sleep study. I'm gonna be so uncomfortable. Wraith, I do kind of feel you though. Like, I think for the longest too, I didn't have healthcare. I don't trust doctors. They're assholes in general. Not all of them, but like, I kind of, yeah. Like, I had a boyfriend that was like, you need to go get that looked at, and I'd be like, okay, but I don't have a doctor, so emergency room is like way too much money for this. And he'd be like, I don't care, I'm worried about you. And that's super valid, but like, I was at a point, I still kind of am, where I'm like, okay, if it's so serious, I'll just die. Like, I've been like that for years. Like, I didn't used to be like that, I know, but I think I hit that point when I was like 18, where I just was like, I just don't really care. Like, obviously I'm gonna be careful, try to be safe, take care of myself, blah blah blah, but like, to an extent, if it's my time to die, it's not the biggest deal. It's honestly like dark. This is dark and heavy. I'm just being honest, but like, I've been living in my own personal hell for like 10 years with the pain and the body problems, the health problems. So I think for about 10 years, I've been in this mentality of like, when it is my time to go, it's not going to be that bad. Because like, ideally, depending on, I don't know, whatever happens when I die, all the pain goes away. So, let me go. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I kind of feel that. Well, they're taking pills. Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to be dependent. Exactly. Okay, thank you, Wraith. That's exactly what I was talking about. I don't. No. 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 I. Taking a pill to counteract the side effects of another pill. I do not want to get to that point. I'm sorry. I'd rather just deal with my side effects. Maybe. I don't know. That's rough. And that's just like. I'm not a scientist or anything, but like. Maybe it depends on the pills. But like, doesn't that mess up your stomach lining? Taking a bunch of pills every day? I might be wrong. I don't know. Is that like a Benadryl only thing? If it... Oh, thank you. That's okay. I'm strong. I can take it. I just don't want to anymore. But pill works. That's not dependence. That's just taking action of the problem. It's either with the struggles or attack them. Yeah. No, I can get behind what both of y'all are saying. Like, pills are there for a reason. For sure. Depending on the pill. I know there's like a big agenda behind the healthcare system and pharmaceuticals and stuff, but some pills do actually help people, so I totally got you. But I would say if there is the option for a pill, like a quicker solution or a natural solution, that's going to benefit me and keep me healthier, like more long term. I'd rather that one, even if it takes more patience and it doesn't, it's not as effective as quickly or something. Like, I would go with that option because, I don't know. I honestly, like I was anemic for a minute, and I do think it was because I got put on so many antibiotics in a really short span of time. It just like messed up my immune system, and I do genuinely think it was the pills that they kept putting me on. And I know the reason, like I know why they were putting me on so many antibiotics, but they just didn't even consider the long-term effects that all those rounds of antibiotics were going to have on me and my immune system, and that caused me to be iron deficient. And it was just like, yeah, you helped me knock out the infections that I had that month, but it resulted in like years of no energy and like chronic fatigue and just these like long-term side effects that you didn't like warn us about. I don't know. Dependence is shame. That's cool. Nice. Yeah, dude, wouldn't that be nice? Antibiotics can really mess up. Yeah. That's what it did. Yeah. Gotta take. Well, that's a different kind of antibiotic, but I get what you're saying, Tyler. But they mess me up long term. That's all I'm saying. And everybody's different, and it would be so freaking cool if it's beautiful and it's wonderful that everyone's different, and all of us work differently, and it's just the coolest thing ever. But like, it would be so cool if they were just like, oh, you have this problem, take this, it'll fix it. Period. Oh my gosh, that would literally just be... That would be so cool. Anyway, do you know how much more often I could stream if I could fix my health problems? Every day. But it's fine. Need a giant miracle. Miracle Max? chocolate coating helps it go down easier. Sorry. Okay. Are you gonna play in stream? Do you mean Metroid Prime, Dwayne? Because I gotta get another capture card for that. And yeah, no, I just need another capture card. Got a dietitian. Nice. Nice. Yeah, dude, I feel you. I just went 5 weeks off sugar, and it was like the best 5 weeks of my life. It was amazing. Not of my life, but big difference. And then last week I had some sugar again, and now I'm back to feeling like crap. But no, I don't think I could ever drop the drinks. But I drink. I've always drank sugary drinks at a minimum anyway, so I didn't really see a problem with that. It's okay. I just drink anything outside of water. I drink with food, and then when I'm not eating, I drink water. So I don't drink a lot of sugary stuff. But it was really hard to quit eating sugar. But I did it for a solid 5 weeks. And then don't ask me why I started eating it again. But once you start again, or for me, because I have the biggest sweet tooth, it's a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying. So like, what? Just keep trying. Don't be hard on yourself. And when you do quit, like, really try not to go back to it. Because I'm doomed if I do that. I don't know about you, but yeah. Oh, don't get me, Tyler, don't get antacid. My acid reflux has been through the roof, and I don't know. I'll take an antacid, and then it kind of does something, but then it doesn't, and I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, I have to go. My sister just called me, so I was gonna go anyway, but yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for listening. If you did, thanks for hanging out. Probably gonna do a movie night or something tomorrow, so join our Discord, and that's all. But love you guys. Yay. Cool. Bye, gamer. Love you. Everybody stay safe. Okay. What? Oh my gosh, I almost knocked the lamp over. Okay, bye.